Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking through some player props I like over on Prizepicks for the Week 12 Thursday Night Football game between the Browns and the Steelers. This is your typical, shit Thursday night primetime game. It's a game with a really low total. I think it's like 36.5 total. There's expected to be some weather in this game, some rain, some snow, some possible wind as well. So we're probably going to see kind of a sluggish, lower scoring game, which is what we see a lot on Thursday Night Football. But we're still going to break down some props I like, guys. I do have two plays over on Prizepicks that I do like for this game on Thursday night. And, again, we're going to talk about these plays and share why I like them. Now, before we do get started, make sure you guys hit that like button down below. If you do enjoy these Prizepicks videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks and if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to sign up. Use promo code NOAH. And when you place your first Prizepicks lineup, you'll get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account. So you sign up, make a deposit. You only have to deposit $10. Put in $10, play your first lineup. Put a $5 lineup in. Even if you lose that lineup, Prizepicks is going to give you $50 in promo funds that you can then use to play additional lineups. Any money you win off those is credit. You can then play that or withdraw it if you want to do so. But you only get that promo if you use code NOAH. So be sure to go check out Prizepicks if you guys have not yet. And also, we do have a partnership with Sleeper. You guys can sign up for Sleeper as well. Use promo code NOAH over there. And for a limited time, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $1,500. So Sleeper, normally they match your first deposit up to $100. But for a limited time, they're going to match your first deposit up to $1,500. So if you do have a larger bankroll, if you are able to make larger deposits, you can put in $1,500 and Sleeper will give you an additional $1,500 to play with. Now that additional money they give you is promo funds, so it's money you have to play, but any money you win with that is credit that you can then withdraw or continue to play with if you want to do so. So go check out Sleeper, guys. Use that code NOAH when you do sign up. And again, if you don't know what Sleeper is, they're just a DFS pick'em app similar to Prizepicks. You're picking more or less on player projections. You're building out an entry. You can make up to an 8-pick entry on Sleeper. You can win up to 100x your money. So go check them out. And again, use that code NOAH at sign up. But yeah, let's talk through the Prizepicks plays that I'm liking for this Week 12 Thursday Night Football game, Browns and Steelers. So the first prop that we're going to take a look at is going to be a prop on Calvin Austin. And I'm liking Calvin Austin for more than 4 fantasy scores. So I was wanting to see if Prizepicks would put up a receiving yards prop for Calvin Austin, and currently they only have his demon line at 29.5. I was looking at some sports books, and most sports books I think have Calvin Austin's receiving yards line set at like 14.5, 15.5. So if you can get the over on that, 14.5 or 15.5 receiving yards, I do like that a good amount. But on Prizepicks, we do have him for 4 fantasy score. So I like this as well. More than 4 fantasy score for Calvin Austin. If Austin goes over his receiving yards line of 14.5, I think he's got a pretty good chance of going over fantasy score as well. There's definitely a chance he only has 1 catch for like 15 yards or 1 catch for 18 yards. But if he gets 15 yards, that probably means he's getting at least 1 or 2 catches. Maybe gets into the end zone. Obviously, we're not hoping, or we don't really need a touchdown with this line at 4 fantasy score. All we need is like 1 big catch like for 30-something yards, or maybe he gets like 2 catches for 20-something yards, and that's enough to get 4 fantasy score. With Prizepicks fantasy score, you do get a point per reception. So if Austin gets 2 receptions, 3 receptions, very good chance he's going to go over 4 fantasy score. I saw his receptions prop is set at 1.5. It's pretty much like even money. So I kind of like a lot of those. Like I like more than 14.5 receiving yards, 15.5 if you can find it at that number. More than 1.5 receptions. But again, Prizepicks not giving us any of those lines. So I'm going to take more than 4 fantasy score on Calvin Austin. And let's talk through why I like this prop. So over the last 4 games with Russell Wilson at quarterback, we have seen Austin either push or go over this line in 3 out of 4 games. He had 4.6 fantasy score against the Jets. Was able to get into the end zone against the Giants and had 14.4 fantasy score. He had 4 fantasy score against Washington, so he tied this projection, pushed. And then last week against Baltimore, he only had 0.9 fantasy score, obviously a down game. But the role and the usage for Calvin Austin has been really good. So if you look at his last 4 games with Russell Wilson at quarterback, he has seen 4, 4, 6, and 2 targets. So he's had, 18 or 16 targets over his last 4 games. So he's averaging about 4 targets per game with Russell Wilson at quarterback. Now I know that the rain and the wind and the snow in this game could make passing a bit of a concern, but it doesn't look like the weather is going to be like so bad that these teams are not going to be able to pass the ball at all. I mean, you look at the pass attempts lines for these quarterbacks. Russell Wilson's pass attempts line is still set at 27, which that's slightly less than like what he averages, but not far off what he averages. Jameis Winston still has a 34.5 pass attempts line. So I don't think we should be completely just abandoning passing props or like receiving props and stuff like that. I still think we can see these teams move the ball through the air. And obviously with a line at 4 fantasy score, it's not like we need Calvin Austin to go out there and have a huge game. All he needs is really one big catch or maybe 2 catches, and that's really all he needs to go over for fantasy score. And like I said, the usage has still been really strong. He's averaging about 4 targets per game with Russell Wilson at quarterback. He's been operating mainly out of the slot. He's been playing about 60% of his snaps from the slot, and he's been running a route on about 60% of dropbacks. He's basically been operating as their wide receiver too. Now, last week his snaps did go down a little bit, but he typically plays on about 50% of the snaps. Last week he only played on 33% of the offensive snaps. But with Austin mainly operating, in the slot, his role should be pretty secure here. He should still probably see at least like 2 or 3 targets, if not maybe more than that. And with a guy like Calvin Austin who does have some big playability, this is a line that I think is low enough where I'm willing to bite here. This is a line that Calvin Austin could hit in 1 catch. I mean, I want to say the game against the Jets where he went over this fantasy score line, where he had 4.6 fantasy score against the Jets. He literally had 1 catch in that game. He had 1 catch for 36 yards. So this is a guy that I think the role is strong enough where we should probably be projecting him for a little bit more than 4 fantasy points. The NFL projections that I look at for fantasy score, they have Calvin Austin projected around 6 fantasy points. I think this line could probably be about 5, 5.5. I think 4 is a bit low on Calvin Austin, just given that he's kind of been operating as their wide receiver too. Role's pretty secure. I know the Steelers did go out and get Mike Williams, but Mike Williams is mainly going to operate on the outside. Mike Williams doesn't really play in the slot, and that's where Calvin Austin really plays is the slot. So I think his role as their slot receiver is pretty secure here. I think the matchup against the Browns, probably neutral. The Browns defense has historically been pretty good. Through the air, they've been a team I think that's been a little bit more beatable through the air than they have been against the run. So yeah, give me Calvin Austin more than 4 fantasy score as our first prop for Thursday night. And again, if you can find Calvin Austin for more than 14.5, 15.5 receiving yards, we'll see if Prizepicks puts up a receiving yards prop for him. Like I said, they don't currently have one up. All they have is his demon line, and then they have a longest reception line. Nothing on his typical receiving yards, but if they do add that, I like the over on that too. And then the other prop that I like is a receptions prop, and we're going to take Cedric Tillman for more than 3.5 receptions. So over the last 3 games with Jameis Winston, or I think it's been 4 games now, or maybe 3 games, last 3 games with Jameis Winston at quarterback, we've seen Cedric Tillman have a really, really good role. So he's been playing a large majority of the offensive snaps, and the Browns, their target share is very, very condensed. So if you look at the guys that are getting targets from Jameis Winston, it is mainly 4 guys. It's Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, and then David Njoku. The Browns, they don't really throw the ball to their running backs a lot. Nick Chubb doesn't really get any usage in the passing game. Jerome Ford might get some usage in the passing game in game scripts where the Browns are playing from behind. But other than David Njoku, like none of the other tight ends, Jordan Akins, these guys haven't really been getting a lot of targets. So we can expect a lot of the volume from Jameis Winston to go to 4 guys. And Cedric Tillman has been one of his top targets. You look at their last 3 games with Jameis Winston at quarterback, 9 targets, 11 targets, and 8 targets for Cedric Tillman. We know Jameis Winston is a quarterback that wants to throw the ball a ton. He's been throwing the ball a ton in his past few games. Now, sure, with the weather concerns, with the wind, the rain, the potential snow, maybe they don't go out there and let Jameis Winston throw the ball 40-plus times. Because if you look at his last 3 games, Jameis Winston has had 41, 46, and 46 pass attempts. I'm not expecting Jameis Winston to throw the ball 45 times here, but I think he's probably going to throw the ball 25, 30 times. His pass attempts line, again, is set at 34.5. If we're going to get 30, 35 pass attempts from Jameis Winston, we got a pretty good chance at probably getting like 5 or 6 targets from Cedric Tillman. I'm pretty sure Tillman has been his top target so far through their first 3 games with Winston. So let's see. Through the first 3 games with Winston, so Jeudy has seen 34 targets, but Tillman and Elijah Moore have both seen 30 targets. So it's been Tillman and Moore kind of tied for second in terms of target share with Winston at quarterback. Tillman been getting a lot of volume lately over this receptions line in 2 out of his last 3 games. The game he went under last week against the Saints, went under by the hook, had 3 receptions, but his volume was still really strong in that game. I believe he had 8 targets. Yeah, 8 targets in that game. So you're going to give me potentially 5-6 targets from Tillman, if not more. I think we got a pretty good chance at more than 3.5 receptions. Looking at some sportsbook odds too. Sportsbooks are favoring the over on this receptions prop for Tillman. I think DraftKings had it at like -125 or -130, favoring the over. Again, I know the weather is a bit of a concern, but for the most part, these lines are already factoring in weather. If this game was being played in a dome, Cedric Tillman's receptions prop would probably be juiced heavily on 3.5. It would maybe be even at 4.5 if this game was being played in a dome. So you're already, the lines are already factoring in the weather. Obviously, you look at Jameis Winston's pass yards; it's at 216.5. He's obviously been soaring over that. But again, you got to think about the weather. That is obviously a concern. But even with the weather concerns, I think we can still get 4 catches from Cedric Tillman, 4 fantasy points from Calvin Austin. That's not too much to ask for. So I do like these 2 plays, guys, for Thursday Night Football, Week 12. Again, it's a pretty disgusting game between the Steelers and Browns. Probably going to be a sluggish, low-scoring game. But that's not going to stop me from giving out some plays, giving out some props for you guys. As always, if you guys are going to tell me on these plays, let's try and hit both these. Let's make some money on this Thursday Night Football game. Again, guys, appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that like button down below if you did enjoy. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks, make sure to sign up for Prizepicks. Use promo code NOAH. And when you place your first lineup, you'll get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account. So go check out Prizepicks if you guys have not yet. But good luck tonight. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next one. Peace.